getting in a coach's face on the opposite sideline and cursing him out, that should be an automatic flag based on the standard they've set.
You know, we've seen years where Brady has lifted the talent around him in New England, and if he's able to do that over the next couple of weeks, although Rodgers is leading the MVP race after what he's been doing over the last 4 weeks, if Brady lifts and raises the tide rises with him, watch out, because he's on course for getting a lot of votes just based on that alone.
I think it's Rodgers' award to lose now. The thing about Brady and these lesser receivers and him raising them, he's worked with them in practice, sure, but Blaine Gabbert's gotten most of the work with this second-tier group, and it's late in the season for him to get up to speed, up to full speed with those guys. So it's a harder task than it's often been. By the way, Brady last night, frustrated, understandably. I expect him to handle it better, quite frankly. And when he walks up to a coach on the other bench and drops a couple curses in his face, if a guy standing at midfield looking at a bench is taunting, that's taunting. Where's the flag? I mean, he's 40 yards closer. He's saying it to him here. I don't care if he's multiple-time MVP, multiple Super Bowl winner. Enforce the standard. Well, I don't like the standard, but you've created the standard.
Well, that's not part of the penalty. And how do I know that? I saw it firsthand Saturday night. Carson Wentz and Darius Leonard came off the sideline and got into it with one of the Patriots defenders. This was right after the fourth down stop, and they're about to attempt a field goal. And a Patriots defender, forgive me for not remembering who it was, one of the linebackers. No, it was one of the pass rushers. It was Judon. Judon came over to the sideline in front of Wentz, and they went face-to-face and got after it right after Wentz got kicked off the field. Now, there was a encroachment on this was right after the third down stop, and they were about to attempt a field goal, and there was an offsides penalty or something that allowed Indianapolis to keep the football, so Wentz came back onto the field. And this was while Wentz went to the sideline. Judon went over and got in his face, and there was no penalty.
Yeah, well, Judon's another prime name. What was the guy's name? Cassius Marsh?
Cassius Marsh. Not
a prime name. That's unequal enforcement. That's BS. Yeah. I mean, if your thing is you don't want kids, and this is part of the trickle down, right? This is what they tell us. We don't want kids. We don't want to drive down the street and see a Little League football field and see kids behaving this way. Well, Tom Brady's actions yesterday, I'm not saying I'm on board with this, but based on what they say, what he did was exactly the kind of thing they're trying to stop. Getting in a coach's face on the opposite sideline and cursing him out, that should be an automatic flag based on the standard they've set. And so here they are not applying the same standard to the superstar as to the scrub.
No, what this is, I don't think it comes down to that. I think it comes down to this is the NFL who behind the scenes has told their officials pipe down on the penalties because it's pissing people off.
Well,
I mean, they did that with offensive holding a couple of years ago.
And leading with the head, and every penalty that they is a point of emphasis that gets overemphasized.
It can slowly go away easily based on how they want to officiate these games. And if they're really worried about sportsmanship, they tamp down all the cussing that goes on with the head coaches and officials that's shown on national TV and local broadcasts week after week after week. That is a bunch of BS.
He came across like a baby last night, I thought, for a guy who's lost big games before and knows how to handle things. I know he hasn't been shut out very often. I thought he could have done a lot.
Yeah, I'd rather have that than Cam Newton laughing on the sideline after a blowout.
I would too. I like that he cares, obviously, and stuff, but deal with it. That's a hell of a performance by the Saints.
Unbelievable.
They don't want the Saints in the playoffs. I know they beat them in the playoffs last year. Saints obviously have them dialed up just in a fantastic way. That's with the replacement coach. Sean Payton, told him, don't think about what
replacement coaches have had a great success rate this year.
Unbelievable. I think last year when these coaches, we've hit on this a little bit, last year when every coach in the league had to come up with a replacement strategy because it became a very real possibility that you could miss a game because of the COVID stuff. It looks like these guys did a hell of a job setting up what would happen if I'm not here. And all of these replacement scenarios have gone quite well. I can't think of one that was an absolute bomb by any means. We've never come in here on a Monday and said, "Oh my God, can you believe how dysfunctional that team was? How they didn't communicate, all the delays they got, and all of that." None of that.
No, and some of the bigger success stories have been with former head coaches. We saw Dan Quinn in Dallas. The most recent one is recency bias for me, but Dennis Allen.
They were terrific last night. I hate the Saints. I think they're. I don't get the quarterback thing or any of it, but they played a stellar game last night, and the Bucs just don't know how to handle it. It's really funny that they have such a poisonous rival that they just can't.
They
figure
can't
out.
beat
No,
them.
they beat them in the biggest game last year. Everybody forgets that they beat them on the way to the playoffs. So they'd trade that for all these losses. And I don't think the Saints are getting into the playoffs.